So I can honestly say that that's the first time I've seen an atomic symbol on a trash can. Now, I don't know what's going on with this beach. I'm out down in Seal Beach right now, and I came back here a couple months ago. When I was walking around, I noticed I was seeing a higher than normal radiation level when just walking around on the sand. So I came back out here to kind of see what's going on and see if I can identify that isotope. So I'm kind of working against the sun right now. Might have to come back out here tomorrow, do a little bit more digging and see if I can nail down, see what's happening here at this beach, see if it's still radioactive or if that was just some sort of fluke I was getting. I am right by a naval weapons base, so maybe that has something to do with this contamination. I don't know. I'm just kind of exploring, see what I find, kind of quickly do it before the sun sets, or before I have to come back tomorrow. So let's see what I find. So there's something definitely here. I'm getting a background radiation of like 1,100 counts per minute, and that is very unnatural for any type of natural background radiation. It's getting a little red right there. So I'm going to try and identify what I'm detecting here. I brought a spare Radicode to put in the sand to see if I can kind of just let that sit, let that collect the gamma spectroscopy data to see if I can narrow down what radioactive isotope I'm seeing out here on this beach, because I'm not sure. This is the first time I'm hearing anything about this. I'm gonna keep an eye on these waves because you never know when these storm waves are gonna come and pop over me. Hopefully that doesn't happen. So anyway, I'm gonna leave the Radicode 103 in the sand there, let it correct that gamma spectroscopy data. I'm using the 103 instead of the 102 right now, just because it has that kind of larger detector to kind of get me a better gamma signal to see if I can identify the radioactive isotope that's in this sand on this beach here a little more easier. But I don't have a lot of time because the sun is going down. But I don't know where this contamination is coming from. I don't know if it's something from the Navy base that's down the beach here, or if it's from some other source. Hopefully when I find out what isotope it is, it'll help me kind of like track that down, because I haven't seen any reports of any type of radiological contamination here on this beach from the base or from anything else. And so it might be something completely unrelated to the weapons base that's down the beach here, but I don't know. I kind of feel like they're probably the easiest culprit to blame. We'll see. I might be totally wrong. It might be something totally naturally occurring. Just have to see. But it's definitely very weird that this place is such a much like a much higher background radiation than it should be. So I even brought my Rad IB-20 out here to see if it's just gamma radiation I'm seeing, or if this can actually detect that additional radiation too. Let's see. No, I'm actually only detecting background radiation right now. So if that's the case, this might be a lower level radiation of some kind. I mean, it's kind of going up a little bit. Might be just kind of a slow crawl. There we go. Okay, now it's up over 120 counts per minute. Let's see. So that's definitely it's out of the ordinary for just natural background radiation. So I'm gonna keep looking around, let this Radicode 103 kind of continue its data accumulation, and see if I can find anything of interest around here. It's kind of weird that this beach is radioactive, because I don't think it's naturally occurring. Alright, so the sun is pretty much down at this point, just fading over the horizon there. So I'm gonna see if this Radicode 103 has picked up anything of like kind of telling me what radioactive isotope is in the sand here, because maybe it is something naturally occurring. It has nothing to do with the weapons base that's down the street, but you know, they're usually pretty big polluters, and yeah, let's see what we find. Now, I also want to try and come back here to try and kind of map out this beach a little bit more and see where the radiation starts and stops, if I can, to kind of just get like a general overview of it, because this just wasn't enough time. I'm actually down here for a funeral right now, and I just had enough time just to come down here and do this right before the sunset. So hopefully tomorrow I have a little more time or before I leave. So my alarm for my dose rate on my Radicode hasn't gone off yet. So it's actually just below that 1.5 or 0.5 microsievert first alarm rate that I put in my Radicode. So we'll see if it gets triggered by something else by me just kind of walking along the beach here for just a quick second, because I'm probably not going to be out here much past sunset right now. Maybe I'll come back out here tomorrow and see what I can find if I have time. Yeah, definitely looks like the tide's coming in. So I don't know, I have to grab the Radicode and get out of here before I get washed away with some waves. Yeah, it's definitely coming in now. Alright, it's time to collect my gear and get out of here. Very nice sunset on the beach. Can't complain there. Alright, well that's going to do it for Seal Beach. I'm going to take a look at this data a little bit more closer and see if I can find the reason why it's radioactive here. I mean, it might just be some isolated thing, like someone dumped some radium gauges here or some old watch parts or something along those lines. But I'll have to do a little bit more digging and see what I can find, because this is kind of unusual that this level of radiation would be here. Alright, so this is day 2 of checking out Sunset Beach, which is in Seal Beach. I just ran out of time yesterday checking this place out, and so hopefully today I can kind of walk the beach and build a little radiation map with the Radicode 103. Maybe try and see what's around here that's radioactive. Try and talk to these workers and see what this pipeline thing is for, if it actually is for oil or for some other project. I am not going to get them on camera because I don't like just filming people for, you know, against their permission. These guys are working and I don't want to bother them more than just asking something. Alright, so as it turns out, this is actually equipment for sand dredging. They actually have a dredger out there, which is like a boat, that's connected to this line, and they suck sand up off the seafloor about a little over a mile out, and then bring it back here to Seal Beach to try and widen the beach. So, it's an interesting project. The guy was super cool that I talked to. I wish I would have filmed him, but like I said, I don't like to be rude and get people. Next time I think I should just kind of ask permission if I could film him, because he seemed really cool. He's a biologist, seeing if there was any effect on these like snowy birds that are here, even though they're not nesting right now, and they're not nesting right on the beach, but they're like back in these like kind of wetlands areas that are right up against this. And so he's just there to kind of keep an eye on the biology here at this project, make sure nothing's disturbed. So, very cool. I'm so glad I talked to someone and found out what this was all about, because it's kind of out of the ordinary. I've never seen it out here, so cool stuff. I'm not seeing like a huge like spike in radiation when I'm walking over these black sands, so I don't think it has anything to do with that. It's got to be something else, maybe. We'll see. Now it looks like I'm kind of getting to the end of that radiation, maybe. I mean, it seems so far on my map here that the Radicode 103 is detecting. Oh wow! I guess there was a little spike right here. Kind of see like that little red section there. I'm gonna go back over there and check that out. Maybe there was an increase in radiation right in that dark patch. Gotta go back and look. Oh, that's pretty cool, yeah. 1700 counts per minute is not normal for the Radicode 102. Usually the normal background that I've seen is like right around like 200, 350 counts per minute. So this is a little bit higher. There's nothing dangerous here though. This is just more than likely, even if it's from an oil spill, it's naturally occurring radioactive material, or what they call norms. So it's nothing to be worried about, but it's something to be aware of. So I'm gonna probably scoop up some of the sand and bring it back with me. Whew, all right. Back from Seal Beach into the cold jaws of Montana. Man, it was brutal when I got back here. Had a whole week that was all negative temperatures. Had a couple of days of -30, -45. It's a fun time. But anyway, it's a nice 30-degree day today, so I figured I might as well come out here and film this part. But here is the sand that I got from Seal Beach. It's black, or it has black bits inside of here because of the high iron content and probably some of the minerals that are associated with the radiation I found out on the beach, which comes from thorium-232. So this is naturally occurring. There's no contamination. Like, you can't even say that it is contamination. Contamination comes from some type of act, usually human, where we are dumping something into the ocean, and this isn't the case. This is more than likely from a thorium deposit that's there on site that's just kind of mixing in with the sand, and it's just slowly being released over time. And there's plenty of beaches like this all over the world that have radioactive sand just like this. When I went out there, I kind of had this preconceived notion of thinking that maybe it was contamination from radium. Now, at different military installations, there have been some instances of radiological contamination from them dumping radioactive aircraft gauges or radium deck markers into the ocean or on land. And this is something that has happened in the past, like at Hunters Point or at Treasure Island in San Francisco. And so I was thinking that maybe this weapons base there at Seal Beach maybe was doing something similar to that. But as it turns out, that wasn't the case, because as I walked up and down the beach, I noticed that when I got closer to the weapons base, the radiation dropped off significantly. And what I realized is that all that contamination was further away from the weapons base. So that made me think that, okay, well, that's more than likely not them. And then when I started looking at the gamma spectroscopy data, I saw that it wasn't radium that I was seeing. It was thorium-232 and all the decay products after that. And so I started thinking like, well, this seems like it's naturally occurring radioactive material that is just being deposited on the beach from some thorium deposit that's in the sand or something along those lines. Now, it could have been from oil exploration back in the day, because along the beach in Seal Beach, Huntington Beach, and along the Californian coastline, there were oil derricks up and down the coastline there in the 20s and the 30s. Like, it almost blocked out complete access to the beach. There were so many there. It's actually some really cool photos of this. But there might have been some contamination that came from those actions, but it's hard for me to really know for sure, because this radioactive sand does occur just naturally without any type of human intervention. And so more than likely it's just there naturally. And there's nothing wrong with being close to the sand or having it, having your house built on top of it or near it or anything like that. If you spend your day out at the beach every day, it's not going to affect your health. The radiation isn't high enough for that to happen. And if you were to ingest it or something along those lines, that wouldn't harm you either. You might get like some other type of chemical contaminants, because there have been like chemical spills or waste spills there at those beaches over the decades. And so that's not great to be exposed to that type of chemical exposure. But as far as the radiological aspect of that sand, it's not a threat. But it is kind of cool to see, because you can actually go there with a Geiger counter, with a scintillation detector, and actually see a greater amount of activity and actually collect this sand. There's nothing against the law saying that you can't collect it. And so if you're looking for radioactive sand for some type of experiment or an elements collection, that'd be the place to look at it. Now, this sand is extremely heavy. It's heavier than what you would think. Like, this thing weighs like around 6 pounds. And the reason for that is because of the high iron content that's inside of this sand. So if you take a neodymium magnet and trace it all along here, you're actually going to suck out a lot of that iron that's in this sand. And it's not the thorium, because the thorium isn't magnetic like iron is magnetic. Whoa! Almost lost it. And so what's in here is going to be a mixture of thorium with just regular sea sand and that iron, which makes the majority of this the kind of color that it is, like this kind of black and tan. I'm going to put this down now. It's very heavy. So what allowed me to actually find out about this beach was this. This is the Radicode 103. At the time I was using the Radicode 102, but when I went to this beach back in October, I walked out there and I had my mapping function turned on, where it like maps out like the activity with the GPS location, and I could see that this beach was more radioactive than normal, and that's because I had this in my pocket. And that's why I wanted to go back to this beach and actually explore it some more, because it was like a question I wanted to have answered. I wanted to know why it was doing that. And so using this, I was able to identify that it was in fact thorium in that sand. So I took this thoriated sand and put it into the lead capsule I have to try and get a really clean gamma spectrum using the Radicode 103. And it did like clean it up, like make it very easy to identify. But I was actually also able to identify that the sand was radioactive from thorium based off the readings I was getting there on location at Seal Beach. And so you can use it either way, but you need to use it like paired with a phone, because like the gamma spectrograph that comes on here, it's not really going to tell you that it's thorium. You'll see like some peaks, and if you can recognize those peaks and the shape that they make, you can kind of guess what it is, but usually having it connected to a smartphone is a lot easier. But anyway, if you're looking to pick up a Radicode 102 or 103, I'll leave a link at the bottom right here, and also a link in the description that you can go and pick one up if that's what you're in the market for. But anyway, I just want to say thanks to Radicode for sponsoring this video, And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.